Welcome back, true believers and spectacular Spidey fans, to another really exciting episode of Spider-Man PS4 101. So today we do have some pretty interesting news regarding the third chapter of the City That Never Sleeps DLC for Marvel's Spider-Man of Silver Lining. And even though some of the info isn't too major, it is nice to get an overall status update to the main development of the Silver Lining DLC. So as for the first pieces of new info, it actually comes from an incredible interview featuring Yuri Lowenthal held by the amazing Dan Gavazin from the Amazing Spider Talk. And if you don't know already, Dan does amazing podcasts over on his channel relating to almost everything regarding Spider-Man. And on his most recent podcast, he was actually able to interview Yuri Lowenthal for over an hour. And during this interview, Dan and Yuri discuss really interesting aspects about the development of Spider-Man PS4 from a voice actor's perspective with Yuri Lowenthal, as well as what the story of the game meant to him as an actor and as a father. But during the interview, there was at one point where the DLC was mentioned specifically from Yuri Lowenthal himself and the main status of where it is in terms of development. So during the interview, Yuri was indeed talking about the Silver Lining DLC for Spider-Man PS4 and saying that the overall team working on it is pretty much wrapping up production. And adding on to this, Yuri also stated that he is not aware of any sequel or upcoming DLC to be added in the future at this current time, which very heavily indicates that we will not be getting any more story expansion DLC within 2019. So obviously, since Silver Lining is releasing sometime in December, it is great to know that the overall production of this chapter is almost close to being finished. As for no story DLC being added to Spider-Man PS4 in 2019, it does make sense since the overall pack of the City That Never Sleeps is indeed going to be the main conclusion of Spider-Man PS4's narrative. As for the potential sequel, even though it is extremely likely to happen in the future, it is too early to make it now since Insomniac is still developing the DLC for the main game. Although, like I have said in previous videos, given how much money Spider-Man PS4 has made, along with the critical success it has received, there is no doubt in my mind that a sequel will happen in the future. But as of this current moment, Yuri is unaware whether or not he will be reprising his role as Peter Parker in the inevitable sequel for Spider-Man PS4, even though I have no doubt that that will indeed be the case. And given everything that Yuri said during this interview, I just can't wait to see the future of this amazing franchise. Now moving on to the next few pieces of info actually come from another interview with Brian Intar and Bill Roseman discussing about the current state of Spider-Man PS4 and where it could lead in the future. Although this time around, Victor Lucas from EPN conducted a great interview with both Brian and Bill discussing tons of aspects regarding the game. Not only do we get some more snippets of info regarding the Silver Lining DLC, but also just how Brian and Bill feel about the overall success of Spider-Man PS4 as well as the passing of Stan Lee. And once again, if you do want to watch the entire interview yourself, I will leave it as a link in the description below. So the first piece of info actually comes from both Brian and Bill with a great question from Victor discussing about tons of aspects regarding the Silver Lining. And given what they both say, it definitely sounds like the overall development of Silver Lining is going extremely smoothly for both Insomniac and Marvel. And adding on to the great flow of development, we also get some teases from both Brian and Bill to the overall status of Silver Lining, the upcoming suits, as well as what players can expect in this last piece of DLC.
What happens now with the company? I can't imagine you not making Marvel stuff forever now.
Well, we're still making it. We have another DLC pack coming out, so we're still making it.
Are you guys already in sequel sort of discussions and talking about what potentially could happen?
I mean, right now it's really about finishing out the year and getting DLC, getting the last DLC out for the year, making sure it hits the quality bar that the other two have hit. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about what suits are going to be available and stuff. You know. Yep. More information soon.
Over Thanksgiving break, we were reviewing trailers.
Yeah.
Looking at scripts. So we're still in it, and we gotta, bring the third chapter of the DLC.
Yeah, I think.
Now, since Silver Lining is indeed the last piece of DLC for the City That Never Sleeps pack, both Brian and Bill, along with the entirety of Insomniac and Marvel, know that they have to fully conclude all unresolved storylines for this last piece of content. This doesn't only mean the DLC story itself, but also for what was left unresolved for the main game. And all of those plot lines include what happened to Martin Lee after he got attacked by Otto Octavius, as well as the overall fate of Silver Sable heading back to Symkaria, Zarya, and of course getting rid of Screwball, and also what happened to Yuri after she shot Hammerhead. And along with all those plot lines and more, similarly with Black Cat presumed to be dead, even though she is more than likely alive after the ending of the heist, it does sound like Silver Lining is going to be filled with storylines with several characters relating to the Spider-Man PS4 universe.
So we've got more DLC coming next month, just before the holidays? Ish, yes? Have you announced the date?
You know what? I'm not sure, so I don't want to say yes or no. Have
we announced the name?
The name? I think so. I think we have Silver Lining. Yeah.
Silver Lining.
Silver Lining. Okay, and Silver Sable is going to be in it, or
announce this or not?
We've announced it's in December.
Yes, it's in December.
In December. Can you tell us do you want to tease any part of it right now? Anything?
I think that a lot of things from the first two DLCs will be coming to a head. So I think if you're looking for some storylines to wrap up, I think you'll be pretty happy.
Now, even though I'm really excited to see which storylines Insomniac are going to fully conclude within Silver Lining, if they do add a lot all at once, it may seem a bit jumbled and a little bit rushed given how the entirety of the story is about an hour and a half long with the time of the DLC. Still, for what the DLC stories were for both the Heist and Turf Wars, I did enjoy them to a pretty good extent, so I'm really excited to see what the overall story is going to be for Silver Lining. As for what Brian and Bill were discussing about earlier relating to looking at trailers and having info relating to the suits be revealed soon, I do think that we could get them either a week before release of this DLC, most likely either on the 18th of December or actually Christmas Day itself on the 25th. This is mainly because every single piece of DLC has indeed released on a Tuesday. First it was the Heist on October 23rd, and then it was Turf Wars on November 20th, where they were both released on Tuesdays. As for Silver Lining, it would be really interesting for it to release on Christmas Day with the holidays and all, which would be really fitting for the finale of this chapter, but since it is a holiday and people will be busy during Christmas, I do think I can see Silver Lining releasing on the 18th of December. And as for the main piece of content that a lot of people are looking forward to the most is of course the 3 final suits that we will be getting in this pack. Now, as we saw previously, there is a really high chance that Spider-Cop could appear within Silver Lining given its extremely interesting design within the latest issue of Spider-Geddon. And even though we can't tell much from what Brian is thinking, you definitely see that he is extremely cautious towards which suits he can reveal for the final pack of this DLC. And seeing how the top 3 most requested suits to be featured within Spider-Man PS4 is number 1, the Sensational suit, which I would really love to see be featured in this pack. Number 2 is obviously the Black suit, even though it's obviously going to be saved for a sequel given the storyline that ended with the main game. And of course the Sam Raimi suit, which is obviously one that everyone wants because of how popular it is. And in my personal opinion, I thought the DLC suits for the Heist were average, but the Turf Wars DLC suits are much more of an improvement. So hopefully with this final pack of DLC with Silver Lining, I really hope that these new suits can be the best of the bunch. Now, there is a chance that we could receive a simple blog post from the PlayStation blog website where they do reveal the new info for Silver Lining and the new suits like we got with the Heist and Turf Wars, but there was also a post from the Game Awards Twitter handle of Jeff Keighley saying that they may show off world premieres soon for different updates of games and of course new trailers for games that are already out. And even though I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, there is a chance that we could see a brand new trailer for the Silver Lining DLC debut at the Game Awards on December 6th, but still we'll just have to wait and see. And finally, the most important piece of info that I found extremely interesting during this interview is what Bill Roseman states regarding the overall world of Spider-Man PS4's implementation within the comic of Spider-Geddon. Now, we did know already since the very first issue of Spider-Geddon that Insomniac's iteration of the character does indeed take place on Earth 1048. Now, as of what the significance of this number means, we still have no idea, but everyone at Marvel has stated that it does have some significance and importance to the overall world of Spider-Man PS4. But as to what Bill says here, I do sense something really interesting coming soon regarding this important number.
So we've actually invented an Earth 1048.
Wow.
Where that's the Earth of our game's Spider-Man. It now officially exists in Marvel canon.
What does the 1048 connote?
I can't reveal that yet.
Oh.
But there's a meaning.
I know there is.
Meaning.
Don't pick a number out of thin air. No, absolutely not.
No, never. No, nothing we do comes out of thin air. Trust me.
So as for what the 1048 number could mean, I have absolutely no idea, but I'm really curious to see what its involvement could be in the Spider-Geddon story, and hopefully, given what Bill says, we may get a reveal of what it means very soon. But given all of these small updates that we received for Silver Lining, as well as the evolution of the story arc for Spider-Geddon, I'm really excited to see what the future of this franchise holds. But anyways, guys, that's the video that I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. Are you looking forward to Silver Lining? And given what Brian's reaction was when he was asked about the suits, do you think that the Raimi suit could possibly appear within that pack, or another suit that you really hope could be featured in the DLC as well? For me personally, I am indifferent towards whether or not the Raimi suit will appear within Silver Lining, but if anything, I really hope that either the Sensational Spider-Man suit or the Unlimited Spider-Man suit will appear in some way within this game. And even though it seems like there will be no more story expansion material for Spider-Man PS4 after the release of Silver Lining, there is still a chance that we could just get standalone suit DLC within 2019. And seeing how it's too early for them to start working on the sequel, I do think another great way for them to support the game is just adding more suits to the overall world of Spider-Man PS4. But anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Peace out.
At the end of it, we both had the opportunity to thank him for everything, and even though we were saying, thanks just for that moment, we were really saying thanks for everything.
Yeah.
And I was able to tell him that I named my son Peter after his creations, and I think he got a kick out of that. So we were very fortunate to have that opportunity to kind of say our thanks, and now it was say our goodbye to Stan.